Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to AOM2. So I hope you all have revised your AOM1. Even you may not, if you have not, then it's still fine because later on, I think the first part of it, I will quickly run through what we have covered in AOM1 to get everyone up to speed. Then we can jump in, dive right into AOM2 and to cover all the rest of the remaining 64 hexagram. Okay, so just to quickly run through the house rules. Number one, attendees, all attendees will be muted. That means you all will be muted except me. Number two, the entire session will be recorded. So once the lesson is over and the video has been edited, we will upload it to the training portal and then we'll let you know. Then you can re-watch it, the replay video over and over again, or catch up which part that you think you are missing on. Okay, so this is rule number two. Number three is that on the right side, there's this chat function. So if you have any question, opinion, statement, comments, whatever, go to the chat function, type in whatever you want to type in. The question function, don't use that. So we only go into one stop function, which is the chat function. Now, before I move on into AOM2, I just want to, say something, put a comment out there. It's like, our life is like a game of snake and ladders. I'm sure every one of us has played snake and ladders before, this board game. And our life is something like this, okay, something like this, whereby, like snake and ladders, they're actually 100 squares, right? And we're supposed to move from one all the way and aim to be the first one to reach the end square, which is the 100 square. Okay, so what we do is we roll the dice and then we try our luck, right? So ladders will bring us up faster, but the snake will bring us down also equally fast. So this is the snake and ladders board game. Our life is also something like this. If you have refreshed back on AOM1, we talk about life is like a life cycle, which is indeed true. So if you compare it like a snake and ladder board game, it is almost similar. Now, instead of 100 squares, actually, if you talk about the life, our life cycle, there are actually 64 stages to go. Okay, 64 stages, 64, I call it 64 progressive situations, full of trapdoors and tricks each step of the way. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to, instead of roll the dice, we have to choose our response and then make our move. So that move, whether will make you hit the ladder to go up faster or hit the snake to bring you down equally fast. Okay, so this is life. We actually live through this. So in between, within the big life cycle, we may create and open the doors to many more mini life cycle. And every mini life cycle, inside there are again 64 situations. So if you want a peaceful life, don't create too many, don't open up too many life cycle doors, because you have to manage them separately. Okay, so yeah, so in AOM1, we have covered the 12 hexagrams. All right, so we have covered 12 hexagrams. In AOM2, we're going to cover the remaining 64 hexagrams. And we also want to understand how events continue to evolve behind the scene beyond the first 12 hexagram, so that we can have a full picture on how one complete life cycle, the 64 hexagram, how it been unfold progressively. And how to stay above the evolvement. Now we have learned this. When we have learned this, we know how situation will evolve and then unfold. We want to stay above this process, and always be in the sweet spot every step of the way. I think this is very key if we want to have a very smooth and successful life, or a life journey. Okay, so once again, welcome back to AOM2. I think I can skip this. By now, you should know who I am, so I think I can skip this part. So let me quickly move on to the 2 rules. Don't believe a thing I say. Rule number 1. So as usual, whatever I'm sharing with you today are all my experiences and experiences of my students and clients. So it's not yet your experience. So if not, then you try it out, listen with an open mindset, see things happening around you, and pick up the insights and make it into your own experience. That's rule number one. So don't believe a thing I say. Rule number two, listen for insights. Listen for insights, because a lot of things is already happening around us. But a lot of time when it's not pointed out, we tend to go into the blind spot mode. That means we don't get to see it and we don't know that it's already there. Okay, so listen for insights, right? Good afternoon, Helen. Welcome. Okay, disclaimer. I think I can skip that. You know what's my disclaimer. All right, so I cut this AOM2 into three parts. Part one is called the second wave. Why second wave is first wave we already spoken about in AOM1, which is the first 12 hexagram. And I mentioned in AOM1 many times that why I stop at hexagram 12 for AOM1 is because the way I see things unfold, the first 12 hexagrams seems to tell us that that will be the first cycle. Okay, first cycle. And whatever is beyond that is actually a repeating of that first cycle, but in different form and format, shape and sizes and things like that. But it's actually a repeating kind of, you can see the semblance of the AOM1 as we go through AOM2. So that is how I craft out this AOM series. Is that the moment you can lay a foundation in AOM1, I think AOM2 will come pretty easy for every one of us. Right, so part one is called second wave. Part two is called getting exponential. If you're able to get through the hoop and loops in the initial stage of the life cycle, that is where you can get into the exponential growth for your life, for your career, for everything else. If you can jump over the hoop and loops in the first stage very successfully. Okay, so that is called getting exponential. And then the last part is the end game. We know from I Ching, it's always telling us whatever goes up all the way to the max, the next thing you know is that you have to gracefully come down. So that's where I call it the end game. Okay, so there are three parts over 3 weekends, today, tomorrow, and next Saturday. So for lesson one today, we will cover 3 modules. Module 1, a quick recap of AOM1 so that everyone is gotten up to speed. Then we can zoom right into AOM2 proper, which will be the module 2 for today, the second wave, and then module 3, living right and bright. Okay, tomorrow we'll move on to module 3 and module 4. So tomorrow we'll cover 2 modules, living right and bright, and then next frequency band. And then the next week, lesson 3 will be 5, 6, and 7, give and take, time to revolutionize, and then the last part will be the end game. Okay, so are you ready to get started? Type yes in the chat box if you are. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Philip. Thank you, Chris. Okay, let's move on. Okay, module 1, quick recap of AOM1. So this is for everyone, especially those who has forgotten quite a fair bit about AOM1. Okay, so we'll get into it. Now, in AOM1, we talk about life as a journey between birth and death. So we can't control birth, we can't control death. Oops. Right, we can't control birth, we can't control death, but what we can control is something in between these two. Okay, and that something is called choice. Choice is something that you can control. And therefore, actually, AOM series is telling us to make the right choice. To make a choice, to make the right choice. Okay, so learn to choose, not to react, but to respond. So the way to responding to a situation is not to react. React is the wrong way. React means, if you can remember, I show you the emotion life cycle, from the thoughts to the feeling, to the feeling to the action, then action become the outcome. So we want to make that feeling to be the floodgate. Okay, so when we react, we are actually we leave no space between feeling and action. So therefore, what comes out is too late already. Yeah? So what we want is respond. A response will give us a space between feeling and action. And then so that, we can make a choice, make the right move, and that move become our action. So remember, we can't change the situation, but we can choose our response to the situation. Okay, and then in AOM1, we also went on to cover that every choice we make create a life cycle, and every life cycle has a start and an end. Okay, has a start and end. So there's always start and end for every life cycle. That's like as we grow up, we go into primary school. There's the first day of primary school. There's also the last day for primary school. After that, we move up to secondary school. There's also a first day of secondary school. There's also a last day of secondary school. So there's always a start and end. So same thing for everyone, for everything. Okay, for every life cycle. Even for guys, first day of army, last day of army. Okay, something like this. So within the start and end, there are generally 6 phases. So I Ching actually give us a lot of good information and tips and tricks to look at situation. He's telling us for every situation, there are actually 6 phases. And these 6 phases, which you actually can get guidance based on the 6 lines, the 6 yao. And every phase of a life cycle has a start and end too. That means every line of the hexagram has a start and end too. So that, line 1 will progress to line 2, line 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 6. And then after that, 6 move on to the next hexagram. So this is how, situation evolve, unfold. And we want to be above all these evolvement so that, we can stay in control. So when the life cycle ends, another starts. So with this, we know that when a door closes on us, another door opens up. Okay, so don't keep on staring at the closed door. Move on, look for the open doors. Basically, if I sum up AOM1 or the AOM series very quickly, it is actually trying to tell us to Chinese call 生死善终. 生死善终 means choose wisely what you start. And once you start, end it with style. Okay, end it with style. So what it means, if you want to get into this job, choose wisely. And if you want to quit this job ultimately, please quit with style. Okay, don't quit on a very bad ending basically that is what it means So if you're not ready to have a family, then then don't do something that will create a family for you. Okay, so something like this. So it's called 生死善终. So the one who chooses the right response actually controls the game of life. You can look around. There are many real life examples. Despite the situation, no matter how demanding, how tricky, how tough the situation is, as long as there's someone who's able to choose the right response, actually control the situation very, very well. Okay, so basically this is what we aim for when we study AOM. We want to be able to control the game by choosing the right response each time, each step of the way. So let's look at COVID. Okay, COVID is a situation. Okay, situation. And we already know that the situation usually is not the problem. It's the way we choose to view the situation that is the problem. So same thing for COVID. COVID is a situation, but that may not be the problem. It is the way we choose to view it. Okay, so how to choose the right response? In AOM1, we also discussed, I think, quite in depth. This is a summary of it. Number 1 is to see beyond the frame. See beyond the frame, if you can remember, it is to adjust. Okay, look far, look near. I think we'll talk about that, right? Look good from far, but far from good. So see beyond the frame. Observable and unobservable. I think in AOM1, I use the sun as an analogy. When the sun sets, you don't get to see the sun, but that doesn't mean the sun disappeared. It just means that you don't get to see the sun. So that at night, the sun become unobservable. Instead, the moon become observable. So in every situation, there's always an observable part and an unobservable part. So we just need to, adjust our lens to try to see both sides. Then next is adjust your view. Yeah, okay, this is the look good from far, far from good. Huh? And then the approach part is always use the yin-yang approach. Okay, yin-yang approach. I think for that, I shared with you the, the fast food staff, right? Handling a very troublesome customer. How he handled it, he actually used the yin-yang. I hope you all can remember. He used the yin-yang approach. He went into the kitchen, go one round, come out, say, sorry, no more burger. Something like that. Okay, so basically, what we want to aim for is actually universal principle-based living. That means when you look at a situation, you find out which hexagram resonate closely with it and seek guidance from that hexagram to guide you through that situation. Every situation. Okay, so this is basically what it means by choosing the right response. So these are a few of the tips here that we discussed in AOM1. And when you talk about life cycle and all the principle-based living, the principles actually comes from this hexagram, 64 hexagram, and the sequence, I call it as the 序卦传. Okay, 序卦传. This is the sequencing. So the numbering that you see here is actually the sequencing of the individual hexagram from 乾卦, hexagram number 1, okay, hexagram number 1 here, all the way to the last one, 64 hexagram. Okay. Okay, so basically, I think I've said this enough. Our life is just like a snake and ladder board game. So we have a start point, we have an end point, and we aim to reach the end point gracefully, successfully. And during the on-road part is where the fun is. If we hit upon the ladder, we go up faster. If we hit upon the snake, we also slide down faster. So what we want is we want to gracefully and successfully go up. But this is life. This is life. As long as you step into a trap door, you actually step into the snake, you slide down, and you have to find your way back up again. So with that, I think in AOM1, if you can recall, we ended with hexagram 11 and hexagram 12, the 地天泰 and the 天地痞. Now, hexagram 11 is 地天泰, right? Where's my mouse? Okay, this 11 here, hexagram 11 is 地天泰. Tai means the momentum, everything is sui, success, stage, things like that. Okay, so when we reach here, I Ching is actually reminding us at unshakable, learn how to avoid toppling. Toppling is hexagram 12. Toppling means in Chinese, in the layman way, it's called 阻塞不通. 阻塞不通 means like a choke pipe. So it's very easy for us to get from success, that means the momentum part, into the stagnant part, I mean the toppling part, because it's only one hexagram away, one step away, or 6 phases away. Okay, so hexagram 11, I Ching remind us to say, hey, please, when you are there, don't forget about avoiding toppling. That means 去否持泰. And when we, for whatever reason, get ourselves into toppling, which most likely we would, okay, we have to learn how to sustain. That means quickly come back to unshakable. Going deeper, I Ching also remind us in the I Ching, 细词下传, to be mindful of possible danger in time of peace. That means peacetime, we need to be mindful that danger can come anytime. It's just like, 2 years ago in 2019, we are having peacetime, but, just a stroke of December, 1 month, 2 months, 1 year, COVID came in and our life get upside down. Everything got stuck into a 天地痞 kind of situation. So we need to have, during peacetime, we need to develop this thing called emergency plan or contingency plan or business continuity, whatever, emergency reserve, whatever you call it, is to tide us through in case we got stuck in a prolonged period during the 天地痞 kind of situation. And I think Singapore has done very well in terms of this resiliency. That means the business continuity, contingency plan, emergency reserve. That is why we are still able to pull through pretty well in 2020. Okay. And in AOM1, we also learn how, if we are in toppling hexagram 12, how can we, what can we do to quickly get us back into hexagram? That means reverse osmosis lah. Basically, going back to hexagram 11, reverse osmosis is to go through this transformation. The transformation, put it this way, in layman term, is called right sizing. Basically, it means you have to go through hexagram 42 and then hexagram 41 so that it can go back to 11 quickly. So 42 is actually Feng Lei Yi, benefiting. Benefiting means whatever that you have is still working for you, you retain it, you keep it. And then for those 41 means those that does not serve you anymore, please discard it, throw it away. Okay, throw it away. So if you can do that, these two things, this 42 and 41 combined together, it's called right sizing lah. If you can do that, very quickly, we can come back to 11. That means going back to the success mode, going back to normalcy, going back to the momentum, the right momentum that we want. Okay, but I Ching also tell us that, this one, 物不可以终彼. 物不可以终彼. Can anyone tell me what do you understand by this Chinese character? 物不可以终彼. Type in the chat box what you feel it means here. If you know these Chinese characters. 物不可以终彼. Helen said nothing good and bad can last forever. Very good, very good. Okay, nothing good and bad can last forever. Exactly, this is what it means. Okay, so even though you are in hexagram 12, like COVID now, we are in COVID now, this will not last forever. This will go away soon. Okay, sooner or later it will go away. So this is what it means. 物不可以终彼. So life is actually a relentless process of attrition. That means it's always like that. Or we go up to success. After that, we have a bit of failure. And then when at failure stage, you want to come back to the success stage, we have to throw away a lot of things that are not serving us anymore. So that part is a process of attrition. Okay, so same thing. This is a life lesson. That means even though we are going through COVID, remember, we just have to throw away things that no longer serve us. Or can be habits, can be practices, can be whatever, that's no longer serve you. For example, if let's say the industry you are in no longer is sustainable or no longer relevant in this new society, then we have to adapt, discard, learn new things, adapt, and move on. So look at this. You all know Ant Group, also by this Jack Ma. Okay, so China extends crackdown on Jack Ma's empire with enforced revamp of Ant Group. Now, Ant Group is supposed to go for the biggest IPO ever known to anybody else. But just, I think, a day or two before the IPO launch, China came down very strongly. They call it the crackdown on Jack Ma's empire. Now, my question to you on the left part of the slides, which hexagram is a good fit for Ant Group's current situation? Type in the chat box. Which hexagram is a good fit for Ant Group's current situation? Want to IPO, cannot IPO. Want to do this, cannot do this because China come down strongly. Toppling, Helen, very good. Mary, he think he's unshakable, but China won't make it topper. China, yes, exactly. So toppling. So Ant Group or Jack Ma actually is in the 天地痞 hexagram 12 situation right now. Okay, so next question is, what approach can Ant Group, we separate Jack Ma is Jack Ma, Ant Group is Ant Group, it's a separate legal entity. What approach can Ant Group consider to quickly get back to hexagram 11? I mean, go back to Thai. Type in the chat box. What approach do you think? I think we just mentioned this just now. Mary said go through benefiting and diminishing. Exactly. That means throw away that is not serving and retain whatever is serving them. So you look at this. In order for N group to move forward easier, I'm not saying easily, but I'm saying easier. This is what N group is contemplating. N group is reportedly exploring options for founder Jack Ma to divest his stake and to give up control. So in N group's top management point of view, suddenly Jack Ma become a liability. Okay, suddenly Jack Ma become a liability. And in order to appease the government and the regulation, they may have to, diminish, that means discard things that may be hindering their way. So this is what they are going through. This is what everybody is going through. Will consider going through when they are at the hexagram 12 situation. Now, the thing is that if we don't point it out that this is how, the energy will move, probably you all may not know how it will move. Okay. But now that you know how hexagram move and how hexagram unfold, just remind yourself, whenever you get stuck in that hexagram 12 situation, just remember the 损益, hexagram 42 and hexagram 41. That is one of the way that you can quickly get yourself out of hexagram 12 and reverse it back to hexagram 11 if you can. Okay, so this is one live example. Now, there's another example also happened pretty recent, the Suez Canal. The ever given this ship, okay, this freight ship gets stuck in that position and just nice block the entire Suez Canal. This is exactly what Pigua looks like. Pigua is like a choke pipe. Now, with that ship like that in that position, it's actually choking up the whole Suez Canal. So guess what did they do to unchoke it? Anybody follow this news? Can you share, for those who follow this news, how did they unchoke the Suez Canal? Anybody follow? Mary said unload the cargo and move it slowly away. They didn't unload the cargo because they have assessed it. They find that it's almost impossible to unload. Philip said dredge the earth. Very good. Very good. Okay, bit by bit. Yes, bit by bit. You see, Feng Tian Xiaoxi comes in with it, bit by bit. So this is what they do. I did some research, and basically, it is a concerted effort. Now, what I'm trying to show you using this case study is that there's another method beside the diminishing and benefiting to get yourself out of hexagram 12 and to get back into hexagram 11. This is another method. Okay, so concerted effort. Concerted effort means the ship owner, the Suez Canal Authority, the Netherlands rescue team came in to help. Japan rescue team also come in to help. US Navy also offered to help. And also including seemingly insignificant dredgers and tugboats. And this is one of the pictures. Okay, dredgers, this is dredgers. Came in to help. So it's everybody who can play a role to unchoke the pipe will have to come in, put in a concerted effort. This is what it means. And finally, they get the ship afloat again and the choke become unchoked. So remember this, another method to get yourself out of hexagram 12, which is the Pigua, the choke pipe, is to get everybody, all the stakeholders together to unchoke the situation. Okay, to unchoke the situation. Now, LKY once said this. That was after SARS. After SARS, I think he said this. In every battle, the morale and the spirit of the people will decide the outcome. That means the stakeholders. The people here for LKY means the citizens. But in any situation, let's say you're in a business setting, I call it the stakeholders. Whoever has an interest in the situation that you are in, that is being choked. Okay, if the morale and the spirit of these stakeholders are togetherness, they can decide on the outcome favorably. Okay, so knowing this, knowing this, when it comes to COVID-19 last year, right? So PM Lee Hsien Loong quickly come out to talk on the national broadcast to tell us to what, come together as a one united nation to overcome this COVID together and things like that. So basically, what he wants is to pull all the stakeholders, which here the bulk of it is the citizens to pull the nation out of COVID-19. I think we did pretty well until recently only. Yeah, I think all this while last year, I think we did pretty well in doing this strategy of pulling ourselves out of hexagram 12. Now, why? My question here is, why do you think they are doing what they are doing? Type in the chat box, why do you think they are doing what they are doing? Mary said to get everyone's support. Very good. Now, to get everyone's support, is there a hexagram for this? Helen said get common objective from everyone. Very good. Raise morale of the people. Very good. Very good, Chris. Helen, leading. No, not yet leading. Not yet leading. Leading is LHL is the one leading. The task force is the one leading. But what they are doing is not yet leading. They are pulling all the people together. And is there hexagram that's more closer to this than leading? Very good. 同人卦. Alan, very good. 天火同人. So another way out of hexagram 12 is to quickly go into, thank you, Joanna, hexagram 13. I repeat again. Another way to quickly get out of hexagram 12 is to quickly get into hexagram 13, which is 同人卦, which is exactly what I'm showing you here as a case study for the Suez Canal case study and for the COVID-19 Singapore case study. Now, other country, whether they do 同人 or not, I don't care already. You can do your own research. I know some country don't do 同人, some country do the 同人. Can you cite one country that did not do the 同人 and they get themselves into a very big mess until recently only? Very good. Very good. Okay, they are more interested, or the leader are more interested in something else than containing the COVID. So no choice. Okay, so exactly, if you want to get out of hexagram 12 quickly, one more way is to quickly get into hexagram 13, called the 同人 fellowship. And this is where it leads us into AOM2 proper. And we'll go into module 2, the second wave. Any questions so far? Okay, if you are good so far with the refresher, type yes in the chat box. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, let's move on to the module 2, the second wave. Okay, fellowship, hexagram 13, 天火同人. Now, 序卦 says 物不可以终彼故受之以同人. Okay, what it means here, P is almost like a very chaotic situation, like COVID, like Suez Canal, all these are called the chaos. So hexagram 13 is telling us, actually chaos breeds solidarity. Whenever there's a chaos, there's an opportunity to muster people together. 同人. Okay, so, for example, last year, COVID, ASEAN quickly asked for, call for solidarity and response in the face of COVID-19 among the ASEAN countries. And then, locally, religious leaders also pledged to maintain solidarity and strengthen social defense amid COVID-19 crisis. This is very common. Whenever there's a chaotic situation, there will be, some leaders who call for solidarity. Why? Because they understand this hexagram 12 and hexagram 13 very well. And they quickly play the card. Okay, this is called choosing the right response. So right now, you have already 2 tricks how to get out of hexagram 12. Number 1 is go into diminishing and benefiting. The other way is to quickly move on to the next hexagram, which is hexagram 13, fellowship. So in this hexagram 13, basically the keyword is called 求同存异. In Chinese, called 求同存异. Loosely translated, is called seek common ground, respect the differences. Or even more layman is to get everybody to identify one common enemy. So in the case of COVID-19, the common enemy is COVID-19. You don't care whether you're Malay, you're Indian, Chinese virus, no, nothing. No. I don't care about all these things already. We only face the common enemy, which is COVID-19. This is called 求同. Everybody aim for the commonality. Whatever is differences, I don't care already. Don't care about it. Don't talk about it. Okay. Now, can you recall earlier in AOM1, was there another hexagram that talks something similar about 求同存异? Can anyone recall? In AOM1, we also talk about one hexagram that also talks something similar to this effect called 求同存异. Thank you, Joanna. Well done. Very fast. Grouping 比卦. Exactly. Now, can you see resemblance of AOM1 already? You see, in 比卦 hexagram 8, talk about 求同存异. Here, we also talk about 求同存异. Seek the common ground. Okay? But it is not easy. It's easier to say than done. Because ultimately, we have inherent differences. Like culture, belief system, like sovereign kind of belief system. I don't know what's that, things like that. So very difficult because every one of us are different. And some of us, we hold fast to what we believe in. But if we have a common enemy and we felt strongly towards the common enemies, 求同存异 is possible. Okay, it's possible. Now it's up to the leader how they play the game. How they play the card, sorry, not the game. How they play the card well. Okay, I'll give you another example. Also real life example. That was in 1960 something. We get separated from Malaysia, Singapore. And that was the moment Singapore went into 皮卦. So I call it the 皮卦 of Singapore. Okay, so break away from Malaysia and we don't have resources, we don't have our own defense system, we are nothing. That's a one small red dot. So we are basically in 皮卦. Now, anyone want to comment? If you were LKY at that time, and we have identified that at that moment we were in 皮卦, what would you do? Type in the chat box. Or simply, what hexagram would you go into quickly? I think no brainer lah. Right now, you should know already lah. No brainer. LKY. Yes, Mary, thank you. Unite the people through fellowship. Very good. LKY understood this. Quickly went into hexagram 13. How? Now, we know is one thing. We know the concept. We know the principle is one thing. But how to execute is another thing. Okay? Execution is usually the toughest part because you don't know how to execute, what to execute. So let me show you Singapore history. Okay? LKY, make sure that we have one Singapore pledge. And the wordings inside that pledge is basically bringing out the true essence of hexagram 13. Let me read out Singapore pledge to you. We, the citizen of Singapore, pledge ourselves as one united people, regardless of race, language, or religion, to build a democratic society based on justice and equality, so as to achieve happiness, prosperity, and progress for our nation. Very well written. Okay, very well written, our Singapore pledge. And this brings out the true essence of hexagram 13. Yes, we may have different races, we may have different languages, we may have different religion. Never mind, we respect those differences. But let's come together, build a democratic society based on justice and equality, achieve happiness, prosperity, and progress for our nation. This is the seek common ground. Respect the differences. And that's why we are multiracial. Okay, harmonious multiracial. So basically, how Singapore can able to pull through, partly, I would say, they've done it well. They quickly transitioned into hexagram 13 very well, and the execution part is also very well. Look at Singapore Pledge, So the 卦辞 about 同人卦 says this: 同人与也亨. Okay, 同人与也亨. The 也 part here means outside the ring lah. Outside the ring. Outside the ring, meaning here inside the ring is called the inner circle inner circle. That means kaki lang lah. Okay, in dialect term it's called kaki lang lah. But if you are able to do this 同人 with people outside the ring, that means really called 同人. If it's kaki lang and you have 同人, it's very normal because ultimately, let's say for example, if we migrate to another country, let's say Australia, and we bump into local Singaporean, fellow Singaporean, we tend to have inner ring, inner circle, and we tend to have 同人 one. That one is sure happen one. That one is not 同人 yet. But if we're able to go over there and then, go outside beyond our inner circle and then be 同人 with them, then that is really the true 同人. That's why our government, when we become independent, they are very strict about, multiracial kind of ruling, regulation. They make sure that they have this 同人语言. That means even though you know someone that's outside your inner ring and you can 同人 with them, then we'll have, as a nation together, a really united nation. Okay? That's why if you can do that, it's called Heng. I think our founders know I Ching very well. They will do this very well. Now, the condition for 同人卦 to be well executed and to play full out to the fullest benefit, there must be one condition. The condition is for the greater good. Okay, greater good. Can you recall in hexagram, in AOM1, was there a hexagram that we say that if you want to execute the hexagram, one of the conditions is for the greater good? Can anyone remember that one? Which hexagram? I repeat, in AOM1, there was one hexagram that we talked about it, and we said that if you want to use the hexagram, there must be a condition, and the condition is for the greater good. Mary, thank you. Leading 师卦, or execute 师卦. One of the condition is must be for the greater good. It must not be for personal gain. Same thing here. 大有. If any leaders ask for solidarity, but ultimately is for their own personal gain, it will not go through. It will not work. Okay? Right. For valid reason. Thank you, Mary. Now, let me ask you this very valid question. Why would people willing to band together? Why would people answer your call to have fellowship, to have 同人? Why? Remember, 缘亨利贞. Everybody will have their 缘, why they want to do certain things. Why would they want to open a life cycle with you and go into solidarity with you? Why? Mary say, when they can get something out of it. Very good. Common endpoint. Now, common endpoint is a cover. Philip, if I may put it this way, common endpoint is just an excuse for them. Can I use the excuse? It's just a cover for them to say, okay, I buy your idea, I will join solidarity with you. But there is a hidden intention behind. Andrew say when they feel threatened as an individual, very good. Now, if you look through all the case studies out there, real life case study, they are willing to join you as a fellowship is because they are going after something called the great possession. Hexagram 14. 火天大有. That means they are going after something. Something called 火天大有. Now, what is 火天大有? Anybody? What is your understanding of great possession? 火天大有. Type in the chat box. Your own understanding. Type in the chat box. A lot. Yes, a lot. Mary, if I may ask, a lot of what? A lot of what? Usually money and prosperity. Yep, exactly. Thank you, Mary. Thank you. Okay, so when people willing to join hand with you under the pretext, say, okay, we have a common ground, let's go for this. But behind them, remember there is a hidden higher intention. And the higher intention is 火天大有. And usually they tie it to money and prosperity, monetary gain, whatever, status, power, all these things. You look around, it's very It's everywhere lah. Actually can be seen lah. But now we know lah. Okay, so it's very hard to sustain 同人 and very hard to sustain 火天大有. Because ultimately, let's say our founding fathers, I'm sure our founding fathers is different breed. But if let's say people will call you to put in money, put in time, put in effort for a cause, I'm sure you want something out of it. Okay, and most people will tie it back to monetary gain, power, and status. So it's very hard to sustain. And like I said, most people associate 大有 with material rewards. So another one is that this could be a seed for disaster. Okay, seed for disaster. That means once they get, let's say they get into, for example, they become minister, whatever, they may get into complacency, they may get arrogant, they may indulge in whatever, kind of habits and things like that, and they go into greed, and they can abuse the power, abuse the privilege. And then what is hexagram 1.5? Sorry, there's no such thing called 1.5. This one is, I call it. There's something called hexagram 1. The 0.5 means the fifth line. So I call it like that, 1.5. So subsequently, if you see something like hexagram 1.5, 2.4, whatever, this is what it means. Hexagram 1, fifth line. Anyone can recall what is hexagram 1.5? Okay, Mary say greedy and move forward to the line 6 will fall. Very good. Okay, hexagram 1, 乾卦. Fifth line is the emperor position. So that one has a trapdoor, and the trapdoor are all these. Okay, these are the trapdoor for hexagram 1.5. You hit any one of them, you may be derailed, or you may go into 1.6 straight away. So same thing, if we go into solidarity and we pull out of that situation, we will see ourselves gaining some rewards and most of the time are monetary rewards, material rewards. And when we up there already, we have great possession already, we tend to forget about 1.5, lessons from line 1.5, and we may get ourselves into violate some of these rules, these trapdoors. So look at this, another real life case study, PH in Malaysia. Okay, in Malaysia, they form a coalition. Their common ground is to, bring down that prevailing, back then was Najib, because they think that Najib was not doing a good job as a PM, so they wanted to bring him down to form a new government. So they come together. Yes, it's a common goal, but ultimately, like I say, okay, everyone who come together, they have a higher hidden intention, which is, I think you all know okay, so that is why, when they form, when I look at their team members, I was like, will they succeed? In my mind, question mark. Even though they may win the election, would they sustain? That's one more thing, okay? Because it's not for common good. Not everyone come together for common good. So that's why this coalition may not sustain. And true enough, it broke down. So, this 象辞 here is 火在天上大有，君子以I forget about the Chinese it's very hard to read Okay, loosely translated is the key is to amass benefit for the greater good and your own self-cultivation, so-called the integrity part. So that means 大有大有 means to amass in great quantity, right? Not only material reward, but also amass self-cultivation, integrity, humility, all these things, the moral compass. Basically, this is what it means. Okay, so if you remember hexagram 1.5, we are saying, I think just now Mary mentioned, do not be greedy and move forward to line 6, right? Otherwise, the reversal will take place. So what do you think is the trapdoor for this hexagram? Hexagram, this 火天大有. What do you think is the trapdoor for this hexagram? Great. Thank you. Mary, thank you. Basically, 易经 scared we forget易经 scared we forget So in this hexagram, line 6 上九 means line 6 上九 means line 6. Okay, put there 自天佑之吉无不利. It reminds us to say that when you're up there, when you're great possession, since you're at like line 6, please remember to walk in the universe footstep and you will be blessed. This is called 自天佑志. 自天佑志 means your own self aligned with the heaven, with universe lah. Okay, and you'll be blessed lah. So 吉无不利lah. That means you will have a lot of abundance lah. So here is one little trick. If you need abundance, if you want abundance, then you do this 自天佑志. Basically, loosely translated means walk in universe footstep. What universe do? You'll be blessed. Basically, this is what it means. And it also reminds us that heaven shuns fullness, mankind shuns completeness. Chinese is called 天道既满，人道既全. 既 here means don't want to see or don't want to encounter, don't want to have. Okay, 既 means like that. So heaven don't want fullness, mankind don't want completeness. What happens if you have fullness? What happens if you have completeness? Reversal. Because it go up to the max, the principle comes in already. Reversal kicks in. So this is what it means when you have 火天大有, trapdoor don't go all the way to the max. It is because of this 天道既满，人道既全. So how do you think you should behave if you have so-called arrived and you're there now and you want to be in a safe zone? How do you think you should behave? Type in the chat box. So my question, you already have great possession, right? How do you think you should behave? Helen said, donate, don't reach the max. Very good. Philip said, humility. Very good. Very good. Okay, very good. I think you all know, because this is something like common sense. Yes, very good. I Ching already give us the tips. Go to the next square. If you think you already have 大有, go to the next square. Learn from it. It's called humility. Or hexagram 15. 第三谦,谦虚的谦, so called humility. I Ching already give us a clue already. Okay, so actually in the I Ching classic text, it said this. It said that in 千 hexagram, all the 6 lines are all positive. So to I Ching, this is a very auspicious hexagram to have. But like I said, you don't have to believe a thing I say. You do your own research and homework and trying out. To me, based on my experience, this 第三千 is not totally 100% auspicious. Why I say that? If you know for those who have learned prediction, right? You know that inside there's this hidden clash EB energies inside. And because of this clash, so it's not totally fully 100% auspicious. So inside there is this hidden clash, the hidden 坎卦啦. Okay, so if you look at this, if you hamburger it, compress it, it look like this one, right? On top are all the broken line, below broken line, and only except one yang line in between. So this compressed, that means hidden it, there is a 坎卦. 坎卦 means danger. So when there's a hidden danger, how can it be all positive? So that's my opinion. Don't believe a thing I say. You go and experience it, do your own research, and make it your own experience. Okay? So at this hexagram, at this situation, once we are trying to learn to be humble, the 卦字 say 亨. Heng means it's good lah. Carry on to be humble lah. Okay, carry on to be humble. 君子有宗. 君子有宗 means if you choose to be humble, please be humble all the way. Don't humble halfway, then not humble anymore. Okay, so if you choose to be humble, you must make sure sustainability. You must be humble all the way. Now, why is there a hidden danger? If you really think it through, sometimes over humble, or being over humbleness, people may say that you're pretty fake. Okay, pretty fake. That means you're faking humility. So that's why I say with a pinch of salt, humble in the right way. And if you want to be humble, humble all the way. Okay, but then don't overdo it. Don't overdo it. Now, basically, it's telling us we need to exercise self-restraint. Okay, self-restraint. That means we have 火天大有, we must always remind ourselves we need to restrain. Okay, restrain. And one way to restrain is to stay as humble as you can, or to a right degree of humility. Okay, now this humility, this humbleness thing, if you look at this, is called 第三千 here. If I may tell you this, there are 6 lines here, right, in the hexagram. Now the first 2 lines is actually the 天. The middle 2 line is actually the 人 position. The bottom 2 line is actually the 地. 天地人 or 天人地 whatever. So is it which of this line is the key line in this hexagram? Can anyone tell me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Which of this line is the key line to look at? Type in the chat box. Line 3. Thank you. Very good. Very good. All of you answer me line 3. Very good. So you know how to read hexagram. Very good. Because it's the most different from the rest. So we read line 3. And line 3 means you have to learn from here. Means it happened to land on the 人 zone. 人 zone. That means this thing, humility, is not about heaven give you or earth give you. No, it's how whether you want to do it or not. Because it fall in the 人 zone. That means it's up to you. Nobody can force you. It's whether you want to do it or not. So 阳在人位. So whether you're humble or not, it has everything to do with the individual. Nothing to do with heaven, nothing to do with earth. I'm showing an example. This, I think this many years back, the Korean Air boss apologized for her daughter. Her daughter was also a VP in the company Korean Air. And I think you all know the story, right? I hope you all know. Is that she boarded the plane and she was served with nuts in the original form. I mean, in the packet form. Okay. And she's expecting to be in the bowl form, open up bowl form. So she threw the nuts back at the steward or stewardess. Okay. And it blew up. It blew up. So this is humility. What's wrong with being served with nuts in the wrapper? Okay. So this humility. So in the end, her behavior, her reaction caused her, to be in the jail, to face a penalty. And then her father, the Korean Air boss, has to come out apologize. And I think something else happened also. I think her sister also, because of humility issue, get into some trouble also. Okay, so humility can actually cause someone a lot of troubles. So here, one loses pride, one loses by pride but gains by humility. Also, 满招损，谦受益. So that's why Yi Jing keep on saying that 谦 is actually very good, very auspicious. So it's true to a certain extent, but remember, don't overdo it because it may look fake. Now, if let's say, let me ask you this, if let's say you have great possession already, 火天大有 already, you have everything, and you choose to remain humble. Okay, humble living, humble treatment with fellow friends, relatives, employees, and things like that. Am I correct to say that you experience inner peace, inner joy, inner happiness, and inner abundance, basically because you have everything that you want already? Can I say that? Type yes or no in the chat box if you think it's okay, right? You agree with what I say? Yes, thank you. So if you have a lot of possession and you remain humble, you can have all this. That is where Yi Jing brings us to the next hexagram. That's where you can be joyous. 雷地狱. So if you want to be happy, to have happiness, you know what are the conditions already. 火天大有 plus 地三千. So let's go on to talk about hexagram 16. 雷地狱. 雷地狱 is about creating joy for oneself and others, because I know a lot of us, of my clients, when I ask them what would make them happy, they say, oh, money. Okay, basically, if you have money, you're able to time to create joy for yourself and for others. Huh? Now, 雷地狱, let me drop the hexagram. 雷地狱. So same thing, first two line is 天, middle two line is 人, bottom is 地. Now, the odd one outline, the key line is at the fourth line here. And it happened to fall in the 人 zone also. So humility and joy, that means joy, happiness, is actually, it has everything to do with the individual and nothing to do with heaven and earth. Whether you feel happy inside or not is really up to the individual. So feeling happy or sad, like I said, has nothing to do with factors outside of you. It's all on you. Okay, it's all on you. And for those who have attended my first year to fifth, I mentioned this before. Nobody can make you feel a way that you don't think. If you watch a comedy movie and you don't feel that it's funny, while other people may be laughing, you will not be laughing, because even though it's a comedy, you don't feel it's funny, you won't laugh. So this is emotion thing, is really is up to you how you want to feel it. Then there are another spectrum at the end of the spectrum. The other end is that somebody else may over enjoy themselves. Okay, may over enjoy themselves, and eating quickly comes in to caution us that if you do everything in excessive, you will turn the table. Okay, and when you have indulged in excessive joyfulness, for example, in Chinese it's called 乐极生悲啊，乐极生悲，乐 means 快乐的乐啦啊，乐快乐的乐啊 ，go to the max 啊，极 is max 啊 straight away it will grow. 悲 means unhappiness or sadness. Okay, 乐极生悲. So, loosely translated, what it means here is that every extreme pleasure has a stink in its tail. It's something like 物极必反. It's again 易经. Go all the way to the max. You enjoy all the way to the max. You laugh until like what? Suddenly tears come out. You cry. But it's not crying like tears comes out. It's like that. You go to the max, you reverse. So if you enjoy yourself too much, remember the next thing that comes in is actually sadness. The feeling of sadness. Why 易经 warn us about 乐极生悲? That means don't go all the way to the excessive joyfulness, is that you are at your most defenseless state when you're at the peak of pleasure. For those who take drugs, they are so high until they reach the max, they are at their most defenseless state. They lack reasoning, they lack judgmental capability, they lack everything. So that is the open window for people to come in to take advantage of your situation. So for those who attended my AOM3, I think, remember we talked about this stratagem 31, 美人计. Now, 美人计, the one who want to execute 美人计 will be very happy if the opponent is someone who always fall into this trap of this hexagram. Means if they enjoy, they'll enjoy all the way out. If they go for drinking session, they will make themselves so drunk. For those who want to execute 美人计, this kind of people, this kind of victim is the easiest to execute this 美人计, because they are at the most defender state and they always like to go to that state. So the key is to have restrained joy. 易经 is not telling us not to have joy. Yes, you can have joy, but restrain joy. You must 适可而止. Don't go all the way to the max. The max is where the trapdoor is. Okay, so I hope you get the point about this joy, 雷地狱. Now, let me ask you, what would people usually do if they love how you carry yourself? That means, for example, you have inner peace, you have inner harmony, you are humble enough, and you look very happy, very contented, full of happiness. What would people usually do if they love how you carry yourself? Type in the chat box. Attraction. Very good, Philip. Attraction. Very good. So if you look at the Facebook, you saw someone like that. Yeah, Mary, thank you. You want to follow. You find a leader that exhibit this kind of traits, you want to follow. Okay, so that leads up to the next hexagram. Following. 泽雷水. Now you see how things unfold. How things unfold. Okay, so follow. Now, follow in the situation, in any real life situation, it could mean that, for example, you join a group, you join a team, or you join, for example, a Facebook group, or a community, or a club, whatever lah. As long as you are going to join a unit or an organization, you can always refer back to this hexagram called following. Okay, following. Called 泽雷水. Now, look at this video. 泽雷水 is something like this. On top here is actually water. 泽 is actually water. And also known as the follower. Bottom here is 正. 正 is actually vibration. So I'm showing you this video is that bottom, the black color one is a woofer, is vibrating. And if you pour water there, this is how nature will behave. The water will dance with the vibration. So the water will follow in sync with how the woofer is vibrating. So it's called singing to the tune. Called 泽雷水 following. Now we want to make sure if you want to follow, you follow the right team, the right leader. I think we discussed that in AOM1. Can you remember which hexagram we talk about it when you say you want to follow the right leader? Which hexagram did we talk about that? There are certain conditions. Can you remember which hexagram we talk in AOM1? Talk about following also. Mary say leading. Leading, yes, leading. Leading as well as 比卦. 比卦 is also about joining an organization. Okay, so you can always look back at AOM1 and see the shadow of it. Okay, so following, yeah, you can follow a K-pop, this band group. You can also follow some of the ideology, I don't know. And also, the Black Lives Matters in US, all their protester, you can follow. So there are a lot of things to follow actually. So don't follow blindly. All right. So what do people follow? Just be mindful. People can follow trend. People can follow group. So if it's a group, then you can also refer to hexagram 8, the 比卦. People can also follow the ideology. All right. People can also follow many, many, many things. Just be mindful what you are following and whether you should be following or not. So if you're not sure, refer to this hexagram. 断词, it says 随刚来而下柔，动而悦，随大亨。真无咎，而天下随时，随时之意大矣哉。Now, loosely translate, it's called there are conditions to follow. So if you want to follow, make sure that the conditions are met. Now, here, next line here, the macro condition is that the yuan, you see here, there is hen, there is zhen, but the yuan is again missing. So it's actually reminding us that if you want to join this group, join this ideology, or join whatever, you have to be very mindful of your intention, your higher intention. Why do you want to join? Okay, and what is the intention of that group, the higher intention of the group that you're about to join? For example, talking about ideology, for example, the ISIS group, some there are people joining them. Okay, we must know what is their higher intention, and when you join them, what is your own higher intention? You must know, and that high intention must be pure. Must be pure. If something impure, then I Ching is telling you based on this hexagram, don't follow. Don't follow. Okay, because the conditions are not right. Next, here, 而天下随时 means follow the natural order of timing. Not everything, when you want to follow, there's also a timing to follow. Right now, if you're going to follow ISIS, you're getting yourself into trouble. You're getting yourself into trouble. Okay, so Yeah, look at the timing also, whether you should join or you should not join. And also, I Ching also give us tips in case you join already and you discover that the intention is wrong intention. That means not something moral. Okay, and then you find that you must quickly be ready to adjust and adapt. That means if you need to quit, you quit the group. But a lot of times, sometimes some group you can join but you cannot quit. So there's a trouble. So therefore, before you join, make sure you join correctly. Okay, if you're not sure, refer back to this hexagram. So this basically telling us not to blindly follow the masses. Sometimes the M is silent. So in the end, we end up joining the S's. Okay, so this is 泽雷水. So real life example, Singaporean, 20 years old, only so young, detained under ISA for plan to kill 3 Jews. That means he go and follow some ideology and he plan to execute. Okay, so question here is what conditions of hexagram 17 means this hexagram what condition of hexagram 17 did he violate? Type in the chat box. Violated this one, higher intention. Thank you, Mary. High intention. Chris, thank you. Blind faith. This one, the higher intention. This one. Okay. Okay. The problem with this hexagram. 不团结, 团结 means united 不团结 if it's not united, 气死人 You look at this government, PH government collapse because they are not united. Everyone have their own higher intention and conflicting intention. Therefore, collapse. Now, if too united, over united, Chinese call 太团结, 害死人. So Hong Kong protests, too united already. You see a lot of damages done. People get killed. US protests also, too united already. Also got people get killed, property get damaged. That's the problem with 太团结. Okay, so when you have followers and they are over united, you also have problem. Not united, you also have problem. Now, when it's too united, over united, so closely knit together, is it a good thing or a bad thing? Type in the chat box. What do you think? Over united, closely knitted. There will be, Mary say, extremity also no good. Very good. Yi Jing say that no, never go to the extreme in moderation. Now, what happened with over united means there could be a possibility of inbreeding. Inbreeding means there's no fresh idea. Okay, there's no fresh idea, and therefore they always live based on their past history, what they think is correct one. So there will be what do you call that? Decadent. Okay, so if over united is a trapdoor by itself, it's actually planting seed for decadent moments to come. In Chinese called 腐败. 腐败. You look at China, all the dynasty, they get too united, they can become 腐败, decadent. So that is where it will lead us to the next hexagram. But right now, looking at time, is 3:17 on my watch. Let's go for 10-minute break. Before that, any quick question